The April 2 deadline set by US President Donald Trump for reciprocal tariffs is looming. Today, India and US began their formal bilateral trade negotiations in the national capital. Assistant US Trade Representative Brendan Lynch is leading the American trade delegation for the talks that could last as many as 5 days. External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar met the US Chamber of Commerce CEO Suzanne. Jaishankar later claiming that active and intense negotiations are underway between India and the US. The big question is, will the two sides be able to reach some kind of a trade agreement? Remember, let's listen in to what they had to say.
On trade, we had a very open discussion. And the result of that discussion was that the Prime Minister and the President agreed that we would conclude, you rightly said, not a free trade agreement, but a bilateral trade agreement by fall this year. And that is what is currently under discussion. We have a team here. By the way, they're not it's not that they are kicking off the discussion. My colleague, the Trade Minister, the Commerce Minister, was in the US last month. And since then, actually, we've been working the trade account through virtual means. So there's a very active and intense trade discussion going on at this point of time.
Let me go straight across to Business Today TV's Chetan Bhutani to find out the very latest. Chetan, we're now told that the talks could go on as long as 5 days. What do you know is on the table in these talks between India and United States when it comes to tariffs?
Well, Rajdeep, initial talks have just begun, but what 3 to 4 agenda items my government sources have told me is the fact that American Bourbon, whiskey, California wine and Harley Davidson motorcycles is what the US trade authorities have been looking after from India to provide a further relief. In fact, India-US trade officials are in talks for further tariff reductions, and my sources have been telling me that the Indian government is further now opening up to reduce those duties. In fact, in the budget, we saw that the duty on a bourbon whiskey was cut from about 150% to 100% earlier, and discussions include increasing US exports of pharmaceuticals and chemicals to India as well. In fact, we also saw that tariffs on Harley Davidson motorcycles were reduced from 50% to 40% as well in the budget. Well, then India's imports from the US of the pharmaceutical products is also very significant. We saw an increase of 78 to 88% from 223,000 crores in 2021 to about 4 lakh crores in 2021, which apparently decreased to 27% and subsequently increased to 10% in 2023-2024. Now we are expecting that the government will be opening up the sectors for these 3 to 4 immediately, so that the reciprocal tariffs which come into effect on April 2 have a little subsiding effect, and eventually the talks for bilateral trade and of course the treaties must go on time.
So what you're suggesting, phase by phase, it's high-end motorcycles, for example, like Harley Davidson's, and indeed whiskey products, which could be on the table for now when it comes to tariff reductions. We'll wait and see how that goes. Chetan, thanks very much for joining me.